your client is going to find out there are gaps. Either you are going to tell them or they are going to find out when they get the bill. I would much rather me tell them and prepare them for it and cover the gap than them find out later.
And get the thank you when they file their claim and they get the check in the mail and they're like, thank you, Dallas. Yep. This was so great. I just got my $1,500 check in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back in my savings because I had to come out of pocket.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I'm your host, Dallas Keithley. And man, what a ride it's been. We've been doing this a year now. And not sure when this one's going to air, but as of today, our 52nd episode went live. I consulted my mathematicians and they said, yes, there are 52 weeks in a year. And so we are appreciative to everyone that has listened, liked, shared, commented, all the cool kid stuff. And man, you guys have hit us with questions. You've hit us with suggestions as to who we should have on the show. And we're very appreciative of that. You know that I like to bring you guys value. And I just finished listening to a training with our next guest. And I said, hey, how would you like to do a podcast? And she said, sure. Kind of like that, but like not knowing what she's getting into. But I loved her energy. I loved her passion for what she does. I love the fact that she is not just peddling a product. She's looking at the whole need of a client. So that's what I want to talk about today. Please welcome to the show, Miss Amy Bock, Regional Sales Manager for GTL, Guaranteed Trust Life. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Hello. Yeah. So we want to jump right in. And so you talk, first of all, tell us about who you are, what you do at GTL and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, my name is Amy Bock. I am a regional sales manager for GTL. I train agents. I try to make sure they have a full understanding. They feel confident to work with clients, protect clients. It's more than just, issue ages or 18 to 85. Like really make sure that they know how a product works. They are comfortable with it. And so then they can make their decision on, is this the best coverage for my client?
And something you said right there, my ears perked up. We will not sell something until we are comfortable with it. So to talk about that for just a second, it takes a little work for you as an agent to become comfortable, then you will sell it, right?
Absolutely. One of the products we talked about today, I've had a lot of people come up and be like, oh, there's just so much going on. I liked it, but I couldn't do it because I didn't feel comfortable talking to my clients. They're going to ask me a question that I don't know.
Yeah.
So that is what I try to do over and over. Hey, it's me again. Let's talk about it. I was just out here. What are your questions? Because they just, nobody wants to look like they don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we have to get through to our agents is, I don't know is okay.
It is.
Yeah. And to me, this is kind of going to sound kind of contradictory. I think it makes you sound more like a professional. Now, if it's a simple question like, what does HIP stand for? I don't know that. Then you're not going to be the professional. But if it's, does this emergency room coverage, does it cover an accident and an illness or both? Or it's okay to say, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't know, but I'm going to find the answer for you.
I always say that. People will ask something very specific and be like, I don't know, but let me go talk to the actuaries. Let me go talk to the underwriters. Yeah. I will get back with you.
We will get back with you. And I think there's a thin line between, because there's two types of agents in this world. The agent that has to know everything before, like they know where to find, not only they know it, they know where to find it in the book, right? Then there's the agent that's like, I'll wing it. I'll figure it out as I go. I think this is GTL. I'm not sure what that stands for, but it's a great product, right? So I think it's somewhere in the middle, right?
Yes.
Where we want our agents to be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And both of you just make sure you have your E&O paid up, right? So, yeah. But what we want to talk about today is the reason to be a complete coverage agent, right? Because the products that you represent are what I would call ancillary products.
Absolutely.
That pair with Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement or even health insurance under 65, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing I think of 3 reasons why you should be a complete agent. Number 1 is retention, right? It's been proven if you have 2 or more policies in the home, you will retain that client, correct?
Yes.
So that being said, the reason we all get into Medicare is to help people, but it's also to build that residual income. Mm-hmm. And when I wake up one day after 10 years of business and I've got $30K a month coming in, I've got to protect that like crazy. So if I've got 2 policies in the home, that means that I'm going to do it. The second thing, though, and these are not in order of importance, but the second thing really is I want to make sure my client is completely covered. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Mm-hmm. The third thing is I don't want to get that call from my client saying, are you kidding me? I didn't realize that I had a hospital deductible or I didn't realize that if I go to the emergency room, I was going to pay $150, all that stuff. And so I think agents get scared and they don't talk about the gaps. So talk about why it's important to fill your client in. This policy has gaps, whether it's Medicare Supplement or Advantage.
Absolutely. It's important to be completely honest about the product that they're getting. You're giving them a great product and you are covering them and you are doing a good thing as an agent to present the right proper product, but it may have gaps. Mm-hmm. There may be a responsibility for a certain period of time, and you have to be 100% clear on that. People don't like to talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, you might have to pay for some stuff and then, go out on about how wonderful the rest of the product is. They have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. They have to talk about the gaps so that then they can protect them from it.
Right.
They can protect them on the front end with hospital indemnity type plans, things that come in, ancillary plans, like you said. Mm-hmm. They can protect them on the back end. What happens when they get out of the hospital? But they have to know the client can't get blindsided or you're going to have that third point. Yeah. You're going to get that call.
You will not want to answer your phone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love what you said. You got to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
And really, that's part of the sales process.
Yes.
I've got to get them uncomfortable. If they don't see a need for a product, they're not going to purchase anything. They're going to go with somebody else. So I've got to get uncomfortable. And it's kind of like a stock market. You watch it, you get uncomfortable, but then it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Right? Like it's going to be all right. It was a horrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying.
No, but the thing is and you're not walking in there blindly.
Right.
You're getting uncomfortable because you have to say, hey, this is what is best for you, but you're going to have to come out of pocket here. You're going to get a bill here. You're going to get this. But they have a solution right in their back pocket. Mm-hmm. So they're not presenting them with an issue and then leaving them just to figure it out.
Best of luck with that.
Yes. They say, hey, this is some stuff that might make you uncomfortable, but don't worry. I've got it covered.
Yeah.
There's 2 products right there.
Yeah, exactly. And to go back what we said earlier, your client is going to find out there are gaps. Either you are going to tell them mm-hmm. or they are going to find out when they get the bill. Mm-hmm. I would much rather me tell them and prepare them for it and cover the gap than them find out later.
And get the thank you when they file their claim and they get the check in the mail and they're like, thank you, Dallas. Yep. This was so great. I just got my $1,500 check in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back in my savings because I had to come out of pocket.
Exactly. And the other thing too, something that really, while we're on our soapbox, let's just stay up here and yell at the people. Something that drives me crazy, right? So an agent goes into a home. One, they self-diagnose. Oh, this is an MAPD house or this is a Med Sup house. And then they present leaning that way. But they also sell the MAPD on this is zero premium, zero premium, zero premium. Well, they may show the Medicare supplement and the client says, listen, I can't afford $140 a month. Well, a lot of agents will say, okay, then we got the MAPD. Mm-hmm. If it's hard for them to afford $140 a month, do you think it's hard for them when are they going to be able to afford $150 or $300 a day for 5 days?
Exactly.
Right? Like you're just delaying them having financial problems rather than saying, hey, here's how we take care of that.
Yeah.
So it's you have the answers, like you said.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about positioning yourself from the beginning.
Okay.
Right? Going in there. I always say
Of an appointment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't sell zero.
Yeah.
Stop selling zero. What do I mean by that? I know I'm saying it and asking you to explain it, but what do we mean by that? And then how can we position it so that they have to take the product away if they don't want it?
So I think what you're saying essentially is don't assume when you walk into the door. Mm-hmm. Do some due diligence, have something for them to fill out, have something of them that they start the process where you can start to see their concerns.
Right.
Maybe have a sheet that you fill out and they're like, who has your cancer coverage?
Right.
Okay. When was the last time you went to the doctor? What are your concerns? You do your due diligence, but have them give you the information.
Yes.
Because you can present. I mean, I guess, it used to be the Cadillac of Cadillacs. I don't think people call them Cadillacs anymore.
Yeah, we're up to Teslas or something now.
It could be the, Lamborghini of everything, and, then you can peel it back and they can start peeling it back and see, and start having to make a decision like, oh, yeah, do I want the coverage if I go here or do I want the coverage as this happens? I can't afford both, but they're making that decision for themselves.
Yes, you lay it all out. Mm-hmm. This is what the Lamborghini plan, I like that. The Lamborghini plan would be, right? It covers you. If you have cancer, you're golden. If you go to the hospital, you're golden. If you need dental vision hearing, it's there. You have this, and this. Here's the total price for it. Well, we can't afford that.
I couldn't either.
I appreciate your honesty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. And so I just want to show you what's possible. Let's get it to where you can. Mm-hmm. Now, which of these, let's list them in order of importance.
Right.
Which of these are important to you? And then just let them take away what they don't want. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times when we hear those words, I can't afford it, that's a natural reaction. Right? Like, it's funny when I go see a pair of Jordans or something like that, when the salesman comes up and says, hey, listen, we just got these in, you would, like the kids would think you're cool if you wear this. Like this is midlife crisis special. And I'm inclined to say, I can't afford that. Mm-hmm. But if I really want it, I can find a way, right? Like my wife has learned that lesson in 23 years. I'll find a way. So really, when you say, hey, here's the Lamborghini package, they're initially going to say, I can't afford that. Awesome. I appreciate your honesty. Which one would you like to take away? They're either going to say, you know what, the dental vision hearing isn't that important, or the cancer plan, we're not worried about that. Okay, perfect. Right? And I can try to persuade them and say, oh, you should do this one, you should do that one. But at the end of the day, it's when they lay their head on their pillow, that's what's important.
Yes. And you don't want them to force them to do anything more than what they can afford, because all that's going to happen after that point, it's going to lapse.
Yeah.
They're going to realize they can't afford it. So they're coerced into it or whatever, or they're talked into it. Mm-hmm. And so let them take away, make a plan of several products. It could be this product, and these writers for this product. But if they are the ones that are customizing it, they feel good about it, and they know that these are the items that are important to them. And when something's important, they're going to hold on to it.
Exactly. I'll never forget when I first got in the business, I would go in and I had Dallas's solution. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. They need this, this, and this. They could care less about the third thing. And I'm sitting there, and a lot of times clients will say yes, knowing that they can cancel as soon as you leave, right? I walk out of the house thinking, I've already got the money in my bank account, right? Like, I'm calling my wife, put in the pool, not like put in, but like go buy the kiddie pool. And they're on the phone going, hey, we don't want any of it. Mm-hmm. It was too much. We don't want anything. Where if I let them take it away, like you said, they build it, it's theirs, they're comfortable with it. If they decide to take it away later, they're arguing with themselves, saying, man, should I know? I don't know. So I love that. Now, let's get a little product specific, okay?
Okay.
I want to, you talked about in our training today, you talked about two products, hospital indemnity plan.
Yes.
and you talked about home health care.
Short-term home health care.
Short-term home health care. Short-term, yes. I want to talk about hospital indemnity plan first. So when you are looking at a Medicare Advantage plan, how are you pairing your hospital indemnity with the Medicare Advantage plan?
Well, I personally, when I do my trainings, I go directly to what's going to affect the client's checking account or savings account. So how many days are they responsible for? How much for each of those days? That is going to be the amount that you, that's the bare minimum.
Right.
Because like you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Medicare Advantage plan. It could be a Meds Up. It could be someone with, private insurance or something like that. But with Medicare Advantage, I go directly to that.
So if I'm looking at like around here, Anthem is a plan. I believe it's $300 a day, days 1 through 5.
Okay.
So you're just building that directly. You're using GTL's product.
Yes.
You're saying $300 a day for days 1 through 5.
Absolutely.
Now, as you present that to the client, let's say you have the Medicare Advantage plan there, right? And it comes to that because you're going line by line saying, listen, here's what it covers. Here's what it doesn't cover. When you get to that $300 a day for days 1 through 5, what is your language to tell them? We're going to talk about that later.
Right. So I would say, already know what that total cost is and be like, this is the first out of pocket piece that I'm going to talk to you about. If you go in for 5 days, you would have to come out of pocket $1,500. That may be concerning. And as we go through this, after we get finished with all of the out of pocket things that could happen, it could be concerning. But give me 10 minutes afterwards, and I'm going to go ahead and show you something for a small monthly premium. It will cover you.
Okay. Right.
I don't want you to get concerned about this. This is a great product, but there are some gaps. And that's why we have this product I'm going to talk to you about at the end of it.
And then you're hitting ambulance. Hey, this one too.
You go to the ambulance. What was it? $295?
Yeah, something like that.
So for a small monthly fee, less than $3 a month, we're going to make sure you don't go into your savings account for $2.95 to take that ambulance to stay in that hospital for $1,500.
Yeah.
And I also think, as we said before, you have filling out the information, you may know kind of where they sit in their checking account or their savings account, what idea that they may have, and be like, that might be a concern for you.
Right. And then you're going through and this one is covered. This one covered. This one covered. There's still gaps, right? Like I always want to tell agents, be sure and let them know. Like your MOOP is there. You got the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 MOOP. I always tell clients, there's a 3% chance. The average in Missouri is 3% of people hit their MOOP on a yearly basis, right? What we're going to do is we're going to lower it down to about 1.5 because we're going to take away the hospital stay. We're going to take away the ambulance. We're going to take away this stuff. I would throw a cancer rider on there and take care of that. Now, for example, if you have kidney disease, you're going to hit your MOOP.
Correct.
Right? That's not going to be covered. So there's still some gaps, but what we're doing is we're just lowering it down a little bit, your chances of doing that.
Yeah, minimize and protect.
Right. And what finally hit me later in my career, I wish I'd thought this earlier, it gives people the opportunity to take good care of themselves. What I mean by that is, as a guy, I think it's instilled in me, passed down from my father. I go to the hospital if it won't stop bleeding or a bone is sticking out or it's fallen off, whatever it may be, right? Like that's when I go because I'm weighing the cost, right? Imagine now, so I had cancer in 2017. I waited forever and it developed into stage 3B.
Oh.
If I would have went earlier, right? But I didn't because in my head, I'm like, man, if I walk in that door, I'm out $4,000, $3,000, whatever it may be. And so I waited until it was just, things persisted.
Wouldn't stop bleeding.
Yeah, exactly. That could have been, not to get dramatic, but that could have been life-saving or life-ending. If I waited, my oncologist literally told me, he said, if you wait 2 more weeks, you're gone. You're done.
Wow.
Right? But I didn't because I didn't have the coverage and I was worried about the cost. Right? So hospital indemnity, I'm a big proponent of it. Cancer plans, huge proponent.
Huge.
it allows you to get the coverage you need when you need it, not at the last minute, right? So I appreciate the work you're doing. It's pretty cool, you know. Talk about short-term home health care.
Okay.
How do you bring that into the conversation? I think one reason agents don't sell short-term home health care, and I don't know why I can't say that today, short-term home health care, is because they find it overwhelming and confusing. How can we simplify that down and bring some language in that'll make it accessible to the client?
Well, I would first say understanding the product. There is a lot going on, especially if you just talk about our product. I mean, you got so many choices. You got all these different things that are covered. I mean, there is a lot of stuff. Going in with a plan, at least going in with, we don't want to, Dallas them and say, you think you know best before you meet them. But,
exactly.
But know it. Know the product. I think that is huge. The other thing I think that is important, and I got this from an agent, that you talk about there still will be some gaps, even if you put a hospital indemnity plan in there. We are trying to minimize it and protect them. Well, once they get home from that visit, there's some other stuff that most likely will be going on because of why they went in. So being able to talk to the client about, okay, if anything would happen to you, yes, this will cover your out-of-pocket costs. This is going to help you at home. Because do you want to go to a facility? Do you want to have to go somewhere to do this? It's home health care. Everything takes place in your home where you're comfortable. That
is enormous because I used to present long-term care plans. The first thing, true story, my grandpa had the old, what's his name? The actor, the old, oh my goodness, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
45, sitting beside his chair. And when I was a kid, now I grew up in rural Hootentown, Missouri. Okay. So this is normal there. It's not normal for a lot of people listening today. My grandpa said, that is for anybody that tries to take me to the hospital or a nursing home. Right. And my grandpa died of kidney failure in his chair.
Wow.
Never went. Right. Every time I present long-term care, first thing, I will never go to a nursing home. What if I could show you a product that allows you to make that decision, right? What if I could show you a product where, your insurance will cover this, but you have options?
Yes.
That's huge. And those stories sell, guys. It's not the product that sells. Stories sell. Let me paint you a picture, right? So I love that. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, and I'm going to kind of tag on to what you just said. It was an agent that I spoke with that said, I sold my father a hospital indemnity plan. And it was great. It covered him when he was in the hospital. He did all that. He's like, but then that's where it ended. I'm kicking myself because I did not sell him a short-term home health care plan. Because when he got home, he was on prescriptions. When he got home, he needed help. He needed that physical therapy. He needed the nurse. He needed stuff. And he didn't have anything to help him with that.
Yeah. So
and he's like, I should have done it together.
Yeah.
Protected him completely.
Yeah. And with your home health care plan, and a lot of home health care plans out there, there's a prescription writer built in that lowers the cost of the plan. I don't know how you guys are getting away with it, how you're making money. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't care. I love it. Right? I love that it helps our clients. Talk about how the prescription writer can actually lower.
Absolutely. The prescription writer is separated into generic and brand name prescriptions. There is not a waiting period on it. So once the client is approved for the product, that benefit is available. And then we base it on fills. And so they can do it monthly, depending on, I think that's a lot. They can do it every 6 months. They can do it every year. However, all they have to do is send us their fills, and then our claims people are pretty smart. They can tell the difference between generic, which gets a certain amount of money, brand name, which gets a certain amount of money, and depending on what plan, then you get your money back. So not your money back, then you get the money.
Right.
It's not a reimbursement. It is a benefit of the product. So you get your benefit check. And then you can say, hey, I'm going to use this to offset the cost of the policy.
Right.
Because if they're on a ton of generic drugs, they may not have an out-of-pocket cost for them. Mm-hmm. Kind of like I told the agents today.
Yeah.
Make a list, cross it off, and now use these people.
Well, and I have agents that they've got it down to the math, man. Like they know if they take this many generics or this many brand names, they can get this amount of coverage, and it's either $0 or like $4 or $5 a month.
Absolutely.
For the product.
And things may change. They may have an increase in, prescriptions, or they may grow into the next age, but grow.
Yeah.
I said that earlier.
Well, we all grow.
Age into the next age band or something like that. But the main thing with this product, and all competitors too, if they need it, they won't get it because they won't qualify for it.
Right. Yeah. That's, worst thing to get as an insurance agent is the call that says, hey, listen, do you sell long-term care insurance? And I usually just want to say no, because I know what's coming next. We got to put Mima in a home, and we're looking at our options.
Or that call that says, hey, you presented that cancer plan that I said no to. I think I want it now.
Yeah. And how seriously do they underwrite that?
Yeah.
Getting that call is always the worst. Life insurance is the only one that I don't mind getting the call because I know they're still here. Right. So,
that's a great point.
Yeah. But let's kind of put a bow on this, right?
Okay.
We talked about retention. We talked about covering your client completely, about being a good agent. Really, though, what this does is it allows you to be in the business a long, long time. We didn't talk about referrals, right?
No.
Every time I help somebody in a different way, that's a chance for them to talk about me to somebody else, right? If you would, kind of summarize what it takes and why should I be a complete, well-rounded agent?
I think that it first starts off with, like we said, learning and being able to have those uncomfortable talks. Mm-hmm. What are your concerns? Cancer, tell me about that. Who do you know? Let's talk about, what would happen if you would go in for 5, like having those uncomfortable conversations. Because then, like you said, you can completely protect the client. Mm-hmm. You can have them make the choices. You're there to answer their questions, help them fill out the forms, help them at least with the, first couple things, like just to kind of be that transporter from, hey, this is before you met me, and now I'm going to take you all the way, because that's what is going to get you your referrals. Yeah. That's going to be the thing that someone says, great. I did have to come out of pocket, but 8 days later, we sent in everything and I got a check, and now my savings account is back whole again. Yeah. And it's all because Dallas set me up with this stuff. Do you have one of those? No. Oh, we'll call Dallas.
Yep, exactly.
So I just think it's immersing yourself, being confident, being able to have uncomfortable conversations, and taking the time to know what you're offering your client and how it's going to benefit them.
Yeah, great stuff. Good stuff, man. So if somebody wants to get a hold of Amy Bock and learn more about GTL's products, whatever it may be, what is the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Probably the easiest way is to shoot me an email.
Okay.
And that is ABOCK.
I love that it's simple.
Abock at gtlic.com.
gtlic.com. We'll put that right there. I always love giving our producers extra work. It'll be right there. I hope it'll be right there.
Right here?
Yeah. Right
okay.
There. So she's good. All right. Celine's in there producing for us. She does a good job. Takes all the credit though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for being on.
You.
I appreciate. This was good. You absolutely killed it. Guys, she was nervous.
I am.
Yeah, she killed it. That was good. I appreciate you being on here.
Thanks.
Guys, thank you very much for watching the Medicare Sales Playbook. Do me a favor. You can help other agents by liking, by sharing, by commenting. I think I've got the pistol wrong that Clint Eastwood. I think it was a 44 Magnum, not a 45. So be sure and call me out for that on social media, whatever you want to do. I would appreciate it. No press is bad press. You know what I mean? So we do appreciate you guys. Be sure and let us know what you like, what you don't like, all that good stuff. We will see you next time on the Medicare Sales Playbook.